good, everybody? It's your boy Taco, and today we're back with another video. And I did my quarterback rankings, did my running back rankings. Might as well do my receiver rankings. I'm ranking every wide receiver 1. I'm going to do every wide receiver 2, possibly do every wide receiver 3. It is based off of ESPN's depth chart. Don't get mad at me for the fact that Debo is still above Brandon Ayuk because that's what it says. The criteria is simple. I didn't have it up last episode. Everybody's put on the same team. What teams win the most games? Who is having the most impact? And with that being said, let's get right into it. Starting off at number 32, it is Khalil Shakir of the Buffalo Bills. Look, Khalil Shakir, he had a good year last year, but he was a wide receiver 3 last year. They have him stepping into that wide receiver 1 role. He could do it, but I don't think that he will do it. But, hey, who knows? Nico Collins was my 32 last year. He has some upside. I just don't think that he is really able to be the guy just yet. And there's a ton of good receivers. Number 31, it is Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer is in a Chargers offense with basically 0 weapons. They got rid of all their weapons. And he's going to have to step in as the one. It's kind of the same thing. He had a decent year last year. I just don't know if he can step in and be the number 1 guy. I do think that Ladd McConkey might take his role as the number 1, or even Quentin Johnston, if he has a really good year, could take his role as a number 1. But again, this is what ESPN has. Josh Palmer, he's just not at the tier of the other guys. Number 30, you have Christian Watson. Christian Watson is, again, he's a fine receiver. He had a good rookie year. Missed a lot of games last year. Missed, I feel like 9 or 10 games. When he played, he wasn't extremely productive either. They still have him as the 1. I think that he could produce. I just don't know if he will produce. He's, again, not the number 1 like some of these other guys. That's exactly what this lower tier is. 29, surprisingly low, but every team has a really good wide receiver 1, honestly. It is Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers had a really solid rookie year last year. I think that he'll build onto it in year 2. There's no suspension. I don't care about the suspensions because then Rashee Rice would be 32. But there's nothing wrong with him off the field. He's going to come in. He's going to do really well for the Ravens this year. With that being said, I just don't see him being above any of these other guys. Number 28, I have Kendrick Bourne. Now, Kendrick Bourne was actually like the only good piece for the Patriots early in the season. He had like, I think 500, 600 yards in 8 or 9 games. He was a really good piece last year. Is he going to stay at that production? No, I don't think he is, especially with Jalen Polk and Javon Baker coming there. But is he going to be bad? Again, I don't think so. I think that he's fine. Do you want him as a 1? Maybe not. That's why he's at 28. Number 27, you got Rashee Rice. He had an amazing rookie year last year. Probably the second best rookie year behind Puka Nacua. And he balled out. Now, he is going to have a suspension charge. I'm not counting it, as I said before. But Rashee Rice, he's a really solid receiver, really solid in the short game. While everybody thinks that Mahomes is going to go to the deep game, Rashee Rice is always open underneath. He's always getting good yards. He's a good player, maybe just not a great player. Number 26, it is Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson had a fine year with Pittsburgh last year. He had a really good year, and I think it was 21 when Juju went out with that injury. It was Big Ben's last year. He's always been, again, more of a short route guy, which is going to be good for Bryce Young going to Carolina. He needs some short route guys. He just needs to get in a good rhythm, get a couple completions, because when he did that, he was actually really good. Deontay Johnson, not really good, but good enough. Deontay Johnson, he's going to be a fine receiver for Carolina. It's a very good pickup. Is he great? Not really. Number 25, it is Drake London. Drake London, after being the 8th overall pick, he's been disappointing. I mean, that's the truth. He just hasn't been the greatest piece. But, hey, there is definitely some upside with him. There still is a ton of receivers that are great. But he has stepped in as the wide receiver 1. He's done okay. but I maybe would want a little better. But they're going to build around him this year, get him a good situation with Kirk Cousins throwing him the ball, and let's see how it works out. 24, it is Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors, I mean, 6th overall pick, everybody knows, going into an awful situation in New York. But again, everybody on the same playing field. I think that he would still be really good. He was a really good player at LSU, always beat people, had a more complete route tree than people gave him credit for. They thought he only ran like goes, curls, and screens. He ran more than that. He's a good receiver. He's going to step in and be a good receiver. With that being said, yeah, he's 24. Just had gotten the news about the Stanley Cup. Number 23 is Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton, again, he was a good receiver last year for the Broncos offense. He's going to regress as the quarterback regresses, but he's fine. And again, this situation, this criteria. Look, he's sometimes a good receiver. He's a very good deep ball receiver, very good jump and get it. Is he maybe a guy that you want as a receiver one? Maybe not. All right, that's why I put him at 23. He's not a devout, good wide receiver one, which I feel like these next 22 guys are. Number 22, it is Calvin Ridley. They do have him as the one in Tennessee. Calvin Ridley, he was a fine piece last year. He was kind of underused, it felt like, especially towards the goal line. But he still put up 1,000 yards. He still had a fine season, a lot better of a season whenever I traded him on my fantasy team for stupid Travis Kelce. But Calvin Ridley, he's going to be good as a wide receiver one in Tennessee. I would be fine with having him as my receiver one there. He's going to be a good option for Will Levis. Number 21, we're going from a former Jag to the Jag. It is Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk, he got hurt at the end of last year, but when he was playing, I mean, they were 8-3, 8-4 until he got hurt. He has been a great piece. He always, since he's gotten to Jacksonville, he really has lived up to that contract. It doesn't look that bad now with all these new deals, but he plays great. He plays short. He can go deep if you need him to, but he is a good wide receiver one. 20, you got Chris Olave. Chris Olave, he's always tried to be the wide receiver too, but when Michael Thomas doesn't play any games, this is what happens. And Chris Olave steps in and does really well. I believe he had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. He has been a great piece for the Saints. He's been a very good wide receiver one. He does kind of everything great, makes some sick catches. He's cool with my wide receiver one for the Saints, number 20. 19 is going to be Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman was the entire Colts offense last year, at least in the passing game for Gardner Minshew. And that's because he could run just about everything. He ran screens, he ran intermediate, he ran deep. He was good at everything. He had, I believe, over 100 catches, had a ton of targets, didn't get in the end zone a ton, but he is going to be a good piece for the Colts. He's a good wide receiver one. Yeah, that's all I got to say. At number 18, you have Marvin Harrison Jr. Look, one of the greatest college receiver prospects we've ever seen, in my opinion, better than Jamar Chase coming out of that draft. Marvin Harrison Jr., he's a problem. He's a great player. He's stepping into a not-so-great situation in Arizona, but him himself is an amazing piece. Can I put him better than these 17 proven really good guys? I don't think so, but he's going to be a really good piece for the Cardinals. Really good rookie. Number 17, I have George Pickens. George Pickens had a really good year last year. It was more up and down. It was a little bit inconsistent, but it was still a very solid year. He put up some very solid numbers for the Steelers. I'm putting him here at 17 because he's not in that upper echelon of guys, but he still is really good. Number 16, I have Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin, he was a great piece for the Washington Commanders last year. He's been a great piece his whole career. He's always been consistent, always just been really good for the Commanders. Really like him as a player. Sadly, he plays for the Commanders. But yeah, he's a great number one option for them. Yeah, 16. Number 15 is gonna be DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf, it's the same with Terry McLaurin. They came out the same draft. Always has been a really consistently solid receiver. He's gotten better over time. He is just always really good for the Seahawks. Never has any issues. Just always a really consistent, good piece. Makes some great catches sometimes and is crazy fast sometimes. Number 14, the third straight from that 2019 class is Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel, I mean, when he is healthy, when he is doing really good, he can be one of the best receivers in the league. We saw it in 2021. He consistently has injury problems. Also, I just don't feel like he has the same boost that he used to have. He's kind of on the decline where the rest of the guys from his class and kind of at his age range are like getting old but they're fine. Yeah, Deebo, there might be some concerns, but he still is a really good receiver. 13 is Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs had a really lackluster end to last season. It didn't end great in Buffalo. Buffalo was winning, but they weren't winning because of Diggs. Now he goes to Houston. He gets a fresh start, and he is going to be balling out with C.J. Stroud. Number 12 is Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is, again, another one of those consistently consistent, good wide receivers. For the Browns, I believe it's been 2 years. Yeah, 2 years playing since he's got there. Just always been a really consistent dude. Even with the Cowboys, consistently, 1,000 yards, 7 or 8 touchdowns. He sometimes just sprinkles in amazing games in there. But yeah, Amari Cooper, just a very good option to have as your receiver one. 11 is Garrett Wilson. Look, his rookie year was cool. The second year, he got a ton of targets. Everybody knew that the ball was going to come his way because the Jets had nobody else to throw the ball to, and he still did really good. He still brought in a really good amount of those targets. Put up some really insane stats because of the amount of targets he got, but he is still just a really good piece. I like Garrett Wilson a lot. For the Jets, getting Aaron Rodgers is going to be a great addition for him. He's going to be great. Moving into the top 10, at number 10, it is Mike Evans. Mike Evans with Baker Mayfield last year, I believe he led the league in receiving touchdowns. He played amazing. He always plays amazing. When we talk about consistency, there's nobody more consistent than Mike Evans. To have 1,000 yards every year of your career for 10 years, that's just insane. He's insanely consistent, and he's just an amazing option to have as your receiver one because he's never going to let you down. Number 9 is going to be DJ Moore. DJ Moore came in last year in Chicago with not a great quarterback and put up numbers. He was getting the ball thrown to him a ton, but he was putting up numbers in Chicago's offense. I don't see it stopping even with the addition of Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze. Might take a slight, drop down, but it's not going to be insane. He still is going to be a great receiver in Chicago, and he still is a great receiver in the landscape of the league. He's number 9. Number 8 is going to be Cooper Kupp. When Cooper Kupp is on, he's the best receiver in the game. Have we not seen that in a couple of years? Maybe, but he's one of the best receivers in the game. Even when he is playing, sometimes he's not putting up the kind of numbers that you want him to put up. But there are just times when he can completely take over and win you football games. And that's what you want out of a guy to be a top 10 receiver, to be a top 8 receiver. They have Puka to fall back on, but he's a great piece blocking like every Rams receiver is. Just a great piece overall to have. Number 8. Number 7, I have Davante Adams. He's taken a little bit of a drop off. Really didn't have a good season last year. Now, part of that was because of the quarterback, but the Raiders' offense in general just wasn't great. Even after the firing of McDaniels, they had that one really good game, obviously, but they just never were really on it the whole year. Davante Adams was kind of a part of it, but he still is a great receiver. They're getting a new offense this year. I think Gardner Minshew is going to be really good. Apparently they want to start Aiden O'Connell, though, which is weird. But Davante Adams, he still is a really good piece. Number 6 is A.J. Brown. Now, he kind of disappeared at the end of the season like almost every single person on the Eagles did, but he still was one of the best receivers in the league going into and in the first half of the season. he still is a great piece. He still is a great jump ball getter, sneaky fast, sneaky good route runner. He can really do everything, which is kind of what you need to be in the top 10-ish, but just a very good player. Glad he's on my team. 5 is Ja'Marr Chase. Ever since Ja'Marr Chase has gotten into the league, it's been deep bombs, it's been explosive plays, and that's the thing with Ja'Marr Chase, is you do get mainly explosive plays and deep balls, but those are game-changing plays. When Ja'Marr Chase scores one of his long touchdowns, you're going to lose. All right? You're going to lose. That's the most of the time, there isn't much recovering from that. He's a top 5 receiver. He's a great piece. Yeah. Number 4, it's Amon St. Brown. Kind of the opposite of Ja'Marr Chase. Much more of a short, consistent at the line runner. I believe he had over 100 catches. Consistently gets the ball, gets yards. Not doing it in big chunks, but he's a great player. I feel like he's going to be one of those really consistent good players for a while. Number 4, Amon St. Brown is great. He's, in my opinion, the biggest reason why the Lions went so far into the playoffs. Number 3, I do have CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, look, led the league in targets, catches, and yards last season. Maybe didn't lead the league in targets. Led the league in catches and yards last season. He has always been a great player since he went to the Cowboys, but they gave him the keys, and he has been balling with them. Last year, it's going to continue into this year. Yeah, if everybody's on the same playing field, he's not going to put up the same stats. That's why I have him at number 3. But he is still a great receiver to have. I wish he was on my team. Remember when we selected stupid Jalen Reagor and we didn't want to trade up to get CeeDee Lamb or just pick Justin freaking Jefferson? I'm going to shut up. I'm going to be happy today. Number 2 is Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, deep threat. Bomb. But also a very consistent receiver. You kind of get both Ja'Marr Chase and Amon St. Brown, the same player, except he does both of those with speed, where them two both do it with more of a physical mindset in their mind. He's just fast. He's the fastest guy in the league, and he can do whatever you need him to do. Number 2. Number 1. It might have changed for a lot of people. Might have switched to Tyreek Hill and might have switched to CeeDee Lamb. It is still Justin Jefferson. People do forget how great Justin Jefferson was because the man played 8 games and then 2 games that he got pulled out at halftime and put up almost 1,100 yards. You put that over a whole season, that's about 1,800, maybe 1,900. He was playing insane last year. People didn't realize it. He is that guy. And it's not even like he steals all the targets the way that CeeDee Lamb does or the way that, some of these other guys do. He is fighting with targets with a lot of other guys and gets open the most in the league by far, in my opinion. That is going to be it for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.